time they go like, I don't know if he could be the MVP now. Oh, no, he's still hitting 300 with 45 jacks and just hit 6 innings in a Major League Baseball game. And people are going to hold that against him.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
If you're betting $50 a pop, doesn't matter. But if you want to bet $2 or $3 grand each side and literally have plus 110 on both sides, not the worst way to make some money on a Sunday night.
Not at all, right? I mean, and that's amazing. I've never really watched this in real time where you see these odds fluctuate with penalty kicks going on.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
I can't even believe I'm saying pitcher's battle and using the words Patrick Corbin. But can I tell you, Scotty, he's a different guy. He's a totally different guy with the Rangers than we've seen.
I say this all the time. You know, don't worry about the first 5 innings. Like, don't even watch the first 5 innings in Texas Ranger games. Because for whatever reason, there's a ton of runs scored in the first 5, and then it just stops. It just stops.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Hello and welcome to a Wednesday live right here on the early line on SportsGrid and all across the SportsGrid network. That includes sportsgrid.com/watch, where you can find your favorite destination to consume everything all across the grid. He is Donnie Rightside. I am Ben Stevens. We are live together for the next 3 hours up until 11 a.m. Eastern time. A jam-packed Wednesday to look back on the second day of NBA free agency and really, DRS, the first move that left us stunned. Really what felt like the first significant maneuver of this free agency summer around the association. A championship on the line last night in the WNBA, a Commissioner's Cup final in Minneapolis between the Lynx and the Fever. To recap for you, craziness at Wimbledon, the most upsets we have seen of top 10 seeds in either the men's or women's draw ever at the All England Club. And of course, a full slate Tuesday around MLB that wasn't quite as full due to some rainouts here in the Northeast. And in this month of football now in July, we continue to give you that football focus, division by division, around the National Football League this week, leading into a holiday weekend where, of course, DRS, when you think 4th of July, maybe hot dogs come to mind as well.
Absolutely, man. Fire it up, knock down some glizzies. It's a great holiday to participate in, and we all should do that on Friday for a nice long weekend. But before we get to that long weekend, it is Wednesday. It is hump day. Get the people over the hump before they get to that holiday weekend, which includes a ton of Major League Baseball today. Yes, all those storms on the East Coast yesterday, forcing games to be canceled before they started, and also while they were actually in progress, like in Boston. So we got a lot to get forward to. And also, come on, NBA, what are we doing now? Like, we got to go to an NFL-type salary cap where you cut a player. Yeah, that hits your cap that day, people. We'll get to that.
We'll talk about it right now, DRS, because it was the first true stunner of NBA free agency. Yesterday afternoon, maybe the top free agent on this market, a guy that had just been a part of a Pacers club getting to Game 7 of the 2025 NBA Finals. In fact, the longest tenured Pacer in Indiana, that being Miles Turner, who was drafted 11th overall by the Pacers in 2015, spent the entire decade of his NBA career in Indianapolis. But yesterday, DRS stunned everybody by signing with the Eastern Conference rival Milwaukee Bucks, a 4-year, $107 million deal. Indiana, because of Tyrese Halliburton being out more than likely for the entirety of 2025-26, did not really want to get into that luxury tax category, so they let Miles Turner go to Milwaukee. Now, the second component of this conversation going hand in hand and breaking, DRS, about 2 minutes after the news that Turner was headed to Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Everybody thinking, the Bucks have no salary cap. How are they going to pay Miles Turner that contract? Well, the Bucks are waiving Damian Lillard in stretching out the remainder of the $113 million owed to Dame over the next 5 years. So the Bucks waive Dame and will stretch out the remainder of that contract, DRS, about $22.5 million, hitting that cap for the Bucks franchise over the next 5 seasons.
Yeah, I don't think this is going to equate into a championship with that move that you finally need to get the pieces to the puzzle here to win it once again in Milwaukee. But I understand this. Like, now you're going to see other NBA teams wake up, because I don't know if we're circumventing the salary cap or what we're doing at this point. But if you're owed $113 million over the next 2 seasons, now you have like the NFL ability to stretch it out over multiple things or designate the guy for post-June 1 cuts. You know, we see that get done in the NFL quite so many times. This is interesting. But also, you know, the big winner in this all is Damian Lillard. Gets $113 million basically wired to his account. And they said, oh, he can go back to Portland and rehab and then pick his next team next year if he still wants to play. He's the big winner in this. I don't think the Milwaukee Bucks, because they have their feet held to the fire right now by Giannis. And good thing for him, too, because he understood, well, I'm going to sign back in here. I want to make sure every single year we're trying to win a championship. This is a championship caliber move that won't equate into a championship, but they are holding true to say, hey, Giannis, we're going to do everything we can to put the best team around you, despite what salary cap constraints we might have.
And that's the question, DRS. Does this maneuver in adding Miles Turner, yet waiving Damian Lillard, who, of course, not expected to play next season as well as he is recovering from his own significant ruptured Achilles tear that he suffered in round number 1 against Indiana, does the addition of Miles Turner make Milwaukee a contender? And 95-1 to win a title at the end of the draft last week. Now 65-1, but still the 8th best price out of the Eastern Conference. Is Giannis pleased? Some reports yesterday, Giannis was less than thrilled that Dame was waived. It's about keeping Giannis Antetokounmpo in Milwaukee. We'll have so much more on that situation and scenario in just a little bit. Some other notable free agency moves yesterday. Jakob Poeltl back in Toronto. 4-year, north of $100 million deal, if I am not mistaken. Duncan Robinson, and a sign and trade, is headed back to the Motor City. He played his college basketball, of course, at Michigan in neighboring Ann Arbor. The Pistons add a sharpshooter in Robinson.
Yeah, not bad here. And that's also pretty good money, that 3 for 48 at this point here. We don't really know what the Miami Heat are doing, but certainly opening up cap space, I guess, for the future at this point. But you can't have enough good shooters in the NBA. As long as you can shoot, you're going to have a job for a long time, Ben.
Speaking of good shooters, Tim Hardaway Jr. added to the Denver Nuggets, who have had a very nice 48-hour span to build that championship contender back at altitude. Speaking of championships, a title at stake last night in the Twin Cities. WNBA Commissioner's Cup, our reigning champs, the Minnesota Lynx, who have the best record in the W this year. An 11-point favorite at home last night, DRS, because no Caitlin Clark for the Indiana Fever. No issue for Indiana. The Fever pull off the outright upset, winning by 15 in a low-scoring affair, 74-59, to take the Commissioner's Cup last night.
The WNBA players in mourning today because the Fever won without Caitlin Clark. Their worst absolute nightmare finally came true. The Commissioner Cup to Indiana. Is Indiana America's team, but not the WNBA players' team? It feels like it is that way right now.
I don't think we should be all that surprised. Clark's just the 9th best guard in the WNBA. DRS, some big news yesterday. Darren Waller, the tight end formerly of the New York Giants and the Raiders, unretiring, and in a small trade will be headed to the Miami Dolphins on a 1-year, 5-year deal. The Finns, who just shipped Jonnu Smith to Pittsburgh the day prior, now get some tight end help, I guess, in Darren Waller, who comes out of retirement.
Hey, you retire, you're going to be a rapper, you put up one horrible video, you got to go get a day job again. Back to the NFL, Darren Waller goes. What's he best known for? Being a horrible rap career and or the ex-husband of Kelsey Plum. One of those two here, but he's back in the NFL. We'll see how it goes.
What about a Pro Bowler in 2020 with the Las Vegas Raiders? Canada Day yesterday up in the Great White North, and the Toronto Blue Jays celebrate with some offense. A 12-5 victory over the New York Yankees. Game was tied, DRS, entering the home half of the 7th at 4-all. George Springer, a grand salami. You see the excitement. 2 homers yesterday. The Blue Jays beat the Yanks big.
Yeah, this game was going the way it was supposed to early, with the Yankees getting a couple runs here, Max Fried dominant. By the time I got home yesterday, I was like, what was that final score? Yeah, the Blue Jays really broke out the bats yesterday.
It has been a crazy time at Wimbledon in round number 1. A record 8 top 10 seeds, 4 on the men's side, 4 in the women's draw. Lost in round number 1, including the 2 seed in the women's draw, Coco Gauff, in the 3 seed in the men's draw, Sasha Zverev yesterday. Chaos at the All England Club on grass.
Yeah, got to watch Nakashima today as well. Keep an eye on that name. I don't know if it's a boy or a girl here, but I do see Nakashima here, 29th ranked overall here from the U.S. Let's go Nakashima.
I don't know. More on the early line up next.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of
15.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip, try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Today is Wednesday, July 2nd, just a few days away from Independence Day, the 4th of July. When you think about July 4th, how do you celebrate? Probably some friends over, maybe by a pool, in the backyard for a barbecue. Well, for me and many others, it starts bright and early watching an event on the corner of Surf and Stillwell on Coney Island. That would be the Nathan's famous hot dog eating contest. So we are very pleased, bright and early here on this Wednesday morning, to welcome on, and still the reigning mustard belt winner, Patrick Bertoletti, to the early line on this Wednesday. Pat, we appreciate the time. The champ is officially here. We are so glad to have you on the early line to break down the success of 2024 and your hopes for 2025. Thanks for being here.
Good morning. Thanks for having me out today.
Bright and early, by the way. Pat already traveling to New York in his pre-event and contest preparation, so we duly appreciate the time. Last year, of course, Pat, big news for the Nathan's Famous Hot Dog Eating Contest. The champ and the GOAT, Joey Chestnut, not involved. But you matched the opportunity and rose to the occasion. On the corner of Surf and Stillwell, a personal best, 58 hot dogs and buns to claim your first ever mustard belt. What did it feel like on July 4th, a year ago, to put on that mustard belt as the champion at the Nathan's Famous Hot Dog Eating Contest?
Well, probably one of the greatest days of my life. I will say that when they actually tried to physically put that belt on, it didn't feel very good because I had so many hot dogs in me. So this year, if I win it, maybe they need to go a little bit less tight after eating the hot dogs.
Restrictive on the hot dogs here. Let me ask you this question, because you get a lot of fame here from eating all those hot dogs, and there's not much going on the 4th of July, particularly early in the day. There's baseball later, there's hot dog eating contests in the morning. But outside of eating hot dogs, like, how do you prep for this competition, and maybe some of your favorite foods that you've eaten in competition?
Yeah, I mean, the practice for this event in particular is just eating hot dogs. You have to build up a tolerance to the food. I'm not opposed to saying that Nathan's is like the best hot dog. I could still eat a Nathan's hot dog right now. I love them. I appreciate them and hot dogs in general. But I think one of my favorite foods outside of hot dogs is probably blueberries. I did that last summer and ate a lot of them in 8 minutes. And probably my favorite record, I think 18 and a half pounds.
Pat, as I saw it yesterday on your page on Major League Eating, one of the 35 records you hold is blueberries. Of course, this year at the 2025 Hot Dog Eating Contest in just a few days, Jaws will be back. Joey Chestnut steps back into the ring at the Hot Dog Eating Contest. Last year, your first title in 9 total appearances, but still outside of that, 4 top 3 finishes as well. What will it take this time around to beat Joey Chestnut?
The goal this year is just another personal best. I know Joey's extra motivated this year. I'm good friends with Joey, so I don't know. A lot has to go right for me to win. A lot has to go wrong for him to lose. So we'll see. Fingers crossed.
By the way, Patrick, you take a look, too. You get 10 minutes to eat these hot dogs, and we like to talk adversity in sports. Like, oh, you get cramping. You probably get cramping eating hot dogs as well. When you see that countdown to the clock goes off and you have those struggles, how do you just push through and just keep eating?
Yeah, there's usually the physical wall, like hitting the wall, which happens. It's normally a mental thing, but you just have to close your eyes, focus, and you really have to overcome everything that's telling you to stop. And that probably is the hardest part about the eating. Eating is such a simple thing. I mean, we all do it, but it's also a lot more difficult than people realize, and it's not the easiest sport to do.
No, it is certainly not, and we appreciate you doing it each and every year on the corner of Surf in Stillwell. Pat, one of the things I have always wondered, after you eat a personal best 58 hot dogs and buns, like you did last year in 2024 to claim the mustard belt, what are the few hours like post-competition? What's the routine after you take down 58 hot dogs?
Man, it felt so good last year, but then about 2 hours after, I crashed pretty bad. Hung out with family, took a car ride back into the city, and just crashed. It wasn't. It all caught up to me, all the emotion. I mean, I've been doing competitive eating for 20 years, so it all came on hot and heavy, and a lot of liquid, a lot of naps, Pepto-Bismol, and a lot of regrets, but also happiness as well.
To the victors go the spoils there. Let me ask you this question, too, because being a big eater here, do you ever roll into a buffet and be like, you know what? I'll take this as a challenge right here and just say, let me see if I can bankrupt this place.
God, I actually am a chef in Chicago, so I know how those buffets work. It is very difficult to get your money's worth. So I don't really do the buffet thing anymore, but when I do anything that's outside of a competition, I usually keep a low profile, and it's fun to do that and surprise everyone. So yeah, that's what I like to do, is come in incognito and just see the managers bug out when I eat like 20 plates of food.
That's always good. Leave a surprise on their face.
Yes.
Pat, as you mentioned, blueberries, part of the 35 records that I was able to count. Some of the foods included pancakes, key lime pie, boneless chicken wings, Rocky Mountain oysters, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Of all the records that you hold, what is the one you are most proud
of? Say that one more time.
I said, of all the records that you hold, and mentioned some of those foods, key lime pie, pancakes, boneless chicken wings, what is the one that you are most proud of?
I think it's the blueberry one. I also, I just set one through Guinness record, 6.9 liters of raw eggs in 1 minute. That's a very good one. That's good.
Man, that's protein.
I would say so. I don't think Donnie's even trying to go after that record. Patrick Bertoletti, and still the reigning champ of the Nathan's Famous Hot Dog Eating Contest that will put the mustard belt on the line once again in just about 48 hours. Pat, we appreciate the time. Thanks so much for being here on this Wednesday.
Thank you, guys.
Wish you the best of luck. More on the early line up next.
Looking for an edge in betting basketball? Injuries can make or break a game. Get insider knowledge from Dr. David Chow and the team of experts with Sick Picks at Sports Injury Central. We reveal hidden health-based advantages the sports books miss. Our doctors provide insights, and our algorithm tells you who to bet on. Spreads, props, totals, in-game bets, Sick Picks covers it all. Go to SickScore.com and sign up for Sick Picks and use the promo code SportsGrid for a free week today.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
Rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of
15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
First time on a casino floor and feeling a little overwhelmed? Well, here's a tip. Lots of machines have a free demo mode you can try for practice. So give those slots a spin in practice mode before you start putting down some real cash. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's...
Once again, a huge shout out to Pat Bertoletti for joining us on the early line, the reigning champ, hoisting that mustard belt into the Coney Island afternoon a 4th of July ago. As Pat did say, though, Joey Chestnut is back this year. Prior to 2024, won 8 straight mustard belts in 16 of the last 17. But Pat Bertoletti, as we shared, also a top 3 finish 4 other times outside of taking home the crown a year ago. All right, DRS. Now a focus on NBA free agency. Early on here in the week leading into 4th of July, always a free agency summer around the association. But as we shared, when free agency began at 6 p.m. Eastern time on Monday, not many moves that really moved the needle all that much. Some significant contributions. But even of the top 5, 6, or 7 signings that we saw from a free agency perspective, probably one starter in the fold, no superstars, no real all-stars. But the top free agent in the market by basically consensus feel, Miles Turner in Indiana, of course, was going to garner a big payday for his role with the Pacers, leading them to a second consecutive Eastern Conference Finals, first NBA Finals appearance, and of course, a seventh game since the year 2000. And we wondered, DRS, would Miles Turner, the longest tenured Pacer, who had spent the entirety of his 10 seasons in the NBA in Indiana, would the Pacers fork up enough cash to keep him around? The answer, no, as Miles Turner provides the first stunner of NBA free agency. He signs a 4-year, $107 million deal to head to the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah, I don't think it changes anything for me with the Bucks. Like, oh, now put them back into contention. They'll be solid as long as Giannis is there because he's an MVP candidate every single year. We'll get to the Damian Lillard stuff, but if we're just focused here, look, it's a stretch big. Like if you lose Brook Lopez, if you watch him ever play basketball, he's good at shooting the three-point shot, can give you stuff down low, and certainly be a big man.
Yeah.
Same thing with Miles Turner. He's just younger and better version of him right now because you look at last year, you shoot 48% from the floor, but how about this? 39.5% from three-point range. That's what you need. You need bigs that can sort of stretch the floor and give Giannis that, advantage to drive to the rim. You don't want a big that's camped out under the basket and clogging the lane. He provides a lot of really good defense, a lot of three-point shooting, and again, younger than Brook Lopez. It is a good match. I just don't think it moves the needle, but as we talked about to open the show, when Giannis Antetokounmpo was saying, we're not just going to sit here this year and say, oh, Dame's down, let's just take a pause year because I'd rather go try to chase a championship. So at least they're being honest and saying, we're going to make this team better. Is it championship worthy, honest? That's going to be up to you. But here's how we're going to extend the payroll here by making a couple moves and getting you a key piece for your future to see if you can act on that next year.
I think it makes the Bucks better, of course, knowing the situation around Damian Lillard, even entering yesterday with the ruptured Achilles and probably missing the entirety of this next season. How much better? And is Giannis pleased with the move? That we'll discuss in just a second. But DRS, before we focus on Milwaukee, and the other maneuver the Bucks pulled off yesterday to clear the cap space necessary to pay Turner $26.8 million per year. Of course, we focus on the ending of his time in Indiana. Drafted 11th overall back in 2015. Spent the entirety of his decade in the association with this Pacers franchise, the longest tenured Pacer at that. And Donnie, this was a guy that was basically rumored to be traded 15 times in his 10 years in Indiana. And after bringing the Pacers to new heights in recent memory, the conversation was, as Rick Carlisle told us throughout that magical playoff run, our number one offseason priority is bringing back Miles Turner. But when Tyrese Halliburton gets injured early on in Game 7, set to miss all of 2025-26, would Indiana's ownership be willing to pay into the luxury tax to bring back Turner? Some disputing reports yesterday how much Turner was offered per year. $20 million. No, closer to $25 million per season. It did not match that of Milwaukee, and ultimately Turner heads to the Bucks.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how we like to see how it actually played out, Ben, with the statistics coming back because, they wanted to keep him. They probably going to do everything they could to keep him, but was an extra couple $1 million worth it to him just to leave and go to Milwaukee? Because sometimes you're around the fellas, and I'm not saying you're supposed to take less because that's never what anybody does. You take less sometimes right. You have so much money, but this was a chance to cash in. I guess he feels like the fit might be better in Milwaukee, which is interesting because that was a team that was really well-rounded and put together and a lot of fun. It's just a shame that Halliburton got injured. Halliburton does get injured, he's probably still a Pacer, right?
No doubt about it. I think he's probably still a Pacer, and there would be little doubt in my mind that Indiana would be booked as the favorite to win the Eastern Conference crown once again. So how is Milwaukee paying Miles Turner all of this money? We'll tell you up next.
Playing online blackjack and want to try upping your odds? Well, here's a tip. Cheat cards tell you statistics for whether you hit or stand on every move. If you're into stats, this could be your ticket to winning. And it is totally legal. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The early line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of
15.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
So Miles Turner, rather shockingly, is now a member of the Milwaukee Bucks. 4-year, $107 million deal. That is $26.8 million per season of annual average value. Quite a big payday for Turner. The Indiana Pacers, by reports, unable to match because they didn't really want to get into that luxury tax area. But how did Milwaukee, DRS, when their season came to a close in only 5 games in the opening round for a second consecutive year against those Pacers, have the money to do this? Of course, our conversation was, would that 5th game in Indianapolis be Giannis's final in a Bucks uniform? What would the Bucks do with Damian Lillard tearing his Achilles throughout that series? And of course, not a ton of future assets for the Bucks. Not many draft picks, not a ton of money to spend elsewhere in the roster. So how can they afford Turner? Well, enter the Bucks front office as they are now waiving Damian Lillard, who is still owed $113 million over the final 2 years of his contract, and they are now stretching that remaining value over the next 5 seasons. So they will still owe Dame about $22.5 million per year, but instead of only 2 years to pay out $113 million in that lump sum, DRS, they will stretch it over 5. It is the longest stretch we have seen in NBA history for the richest amount of value stretched out over a certain amount of time. The Bucks cut Dame Lillard to make way for Miles Turner.
Yeah, I guess it's like the new Bobby Bonilla. Like, hey, every year celebrate the Milwaukee Bucks paying Dame Lillard, who's playing on another basketball team and maybe even retired at that point, extra money here. It is interesting because, you know, a couple of NBA execs saying this could be like a reckless move because understand this, like, yes, they're sort of circumventing things, but 5 years of $25 million when that apron, you know, you're going to be up against and say, how do we get below it? Well, we can't because we can't even move this guy. We automatically have an extra $25 million. And understand this as well. Like, I like organizations that certainly enter into the season saying we're going to do everything we can to win. But sometimes they get a little bit jaded and say, is this a move that for right now you had to make because you feel like you can get over the hump? Because for me, I don't think that's the case with the Milwaukee Bucks. Did they make their team better? Yes, they did. But at what cost, right? And also, was it the fact that they didn't want to wait for Dame and say Giannis would get upset and then we have to wait another year and then we'll tack on with another great basketball player because they probably couldn't afford it to go both ways. You had to cut one to lose one to gain one. And I don't know what the difference is going to be, but let's just see over the next couple of years if then the rest of the NBA goes like, see that move they made? That really hurt. Or how about this? The Milwaukee Bucks make a run to the NBA Finals and the rest of the league goes, we're about to copycat this thing, like the Sixers with Paul George. Get out of town. We'll stretch this out over 5 or 6 years, and we'll get another player in here to help us out while you're playing for maybe somebody else.
DRS, we see this in the National Football League. Even when you trade a player that has a ton of value in his contract or release them, there are dead cap hits that you still need to pay out that contract. We do not normally see this, as it is a historic wave and stretch in NBA history, and we certainly have not seen it for the tune of $113 million paid out over 5 years. Does it free up some financial flexibility, perhaps, in the salary cap for Milwaukee season to season? Sure, but you still have to pay Dame a ton. So if you think about it, DRS, again, just on average, $22.5 million for Dame over the next 5 years. A 4-year, $107 million deal for Miles Turner. That's an average of $26.8 million. Basically $50 million for Miles Turner because Damian Lillard is no longer on the team with the Bucks. And I like Miles Turner. Is he worth $50 mil per year? Probably not. Again, 10 years in Indiana, averaged a little bit more than 14 points per game throughout that time. This past season, getting the Pacers to a 7th game of the NBA Finals, 15.6 points per game, 6.5 boards. But really, this is what he presents for a championship team or even for a playoff contender. He is a big man that can stretch the floor, shoot the three, 39.6% from deep a season ago, and defend the rim pretty well as well. 2 blocks per game last season, DRS. That's what he provides for Milwaukee. So you add in Miles Turner in the front court alongside Giannis. Dame was not going to be there, of course, as he recovers from an Achilles injury, now no longer a part of the franchise. Does this make Milwaukee in the up-in-the-air, uncertain Eastern Conference one of the 4 or 5 best-priced teams to win that conference crown? No. It's 21-1 on Milwaukee to win the East. That is 8th best. It is 65-1 for the Bucks to win an NBA championship. Again, 8th best for a team out of the Eastern Conference. It was 95-1 post-draft last week before the acquisition of Miles Turner and the releasing of Damian Lillard, so it has dropped by $30, but it's still a long price, DRS, at 65-1. So the question might be, is all of this worth it?
No, it's not worth it. And I guess it might be just worth it because you have a superstar and a global superstar in Giannis. You're in Milwaukee. It's not exactly a destination city where all superstars want to wind up being there. So you want to keep that one superstar happy and in town as long as possible. Because you have to understand this too, guys, right? The NBA is a business. And business is good for your home fan base. When Giannis is happy and playing well, you will sell at that arena. You'll sell a ton of merchandise. Because there's 2 options here that you can have. All right, let's get some clarity. We're not going to win this thing. Let's move Giannis. Let's restock everything. The fan base won't be happy with that at that point here. And who knows if even restocking it is going to work and turn into your favor in 4 to 5 years. Giannis said, if I'm going to stay here, you better show me your commitment. Milwaukee is showing that commitment, whether that means a championship. And as we said, we don't think it is. But now Giannis can't say, well, I went out anyway. Hey, look what we just did for you. We cut Damian Lillard basically to get another player in here because Damian Lillard wasn't going to be here. They are showing signs of the commitment there to Giannis, and I think that's what he and the franchise care about the most.
But by reports yesterday, DRS, from NBA insider Chris Haynes, Giannis wasn't too pleased with the handling of Damian Lillard, who you mentioned at the very start of the show. Who's the big winner in all of this? Is it Milwaukee? It's certainly not Indiana. Is it Miles Turner for getting paid? Is it Giannis? It's Dame, who now makes $22.5 million this season to rehab his injured Achilles. And it was pretty clear he didn't love being in Milwaukee. His family did not live in Milwaukee with him throughout the NBA season. He might have left Milwaukee even before the move to acquire Miles Turner. He gets paid a ton of money to rehab. And once he clears waivers, DRS can basically pick at this stage of his career where he wants to go. Whether that's this summer or he waits to see how 2025-26 shakes out and finds his next destination for the following NBA season.
Yeah, and by the way, there has to be a stipulation also, I'm pretty sure, that he just can't go back to the Bucks after like a year or at the end of the year if he looks, hey, I'm ready to go. Let me come back for a vet minimum exception here where you can stretch it out, which Friezo's telling me, the producer's telling me, yes, we can, which that wouldn't make any sense. By the way, that would be ultra devious. He cannot. Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, because otherwise then we'd have to put a CBA would just come to a crashing halt where everybody would do this and bring players back at a cheap discount spread out over a longer period of terms here. That can't happen. So we'll see what happens. But you're right. Like Dame's going to be able to rehab. He'll be back in the NBA. Do we think he's going to be back to Dame time in the past? Probably not. But everything is according to a contract. If he can come back and help a team at $10 million a year as opposed to $50 million a year, as he says, you know what, let me go ring chaser, say, hey, why not, man? Go for it, Dame.
13 years in the NBA for Damian Lillard. He is 34 years old. He turns 35 in just a few weeks on July 15th. The previous 2 years in Milwaukee, still an all-star, still averaged better than 24 points per game. But I would say the Dame and Giannis experiment inside the Fiserv Forum, DRS, was a massive failure. Milwaukee did win the NBA Cup. Cool. A title. Hang it from the rafters. But they lost in the first round, ironically enough, each of the previous 2 seasons to the Indiana Pacers. So we'll see where Dame wants to go to play out the remainder, perhaps, of his NBA career. More NBA moves from Tuesday in free agency on this Wednesday on the early line. None nearly as significant as the Miles Turner, Damian Lillard situation in Milwaukee, but we'll break them down for you. And then a recap of the Commissioner's Cup in the WNBA. All that next.
Run here for Suarez, but realistically speaking, Corbin Burns out, Corbin Carroll is out right now. This is not a contending team, especially in that division where you've got the Dodgers and the Padres and the Giants. It's just too much to bear. The Diamondbacks would be smart to let Jordan Lawler play every day, see what he is, and then probably move on from Suarez.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
And there's this one guy that's popping for me. It's like Tillinghast, Bombers Paradise, Get Hot with the Putter, Northeast New York Horse. Like, I know a guy that fits that profile pretty well that won a pretty big tournament at Wingfoot. Like, this is this like perfect for Bryson?
It's perfect for Bryson.
Wow. The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
The 2 guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
I do believe that SJ now is the #1 player in the world. The things that he can do from the point of attack, offensively and defensively, his ability to drive downhill and score at all 3 levels. And the thing I like most about this young man at 26, he's so humble. He's so humble. And that speaks to the whole culture of OKC that Sam Presti and Mark Daigneault has built. Humble team, folks.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
So Miles Turner signing with the Milwaukee Bucks, the biggest move so far of NBA free agency, and certainly the most significant move that we saw on day number 2, Tuesday. A couple of other moves, DRS, Jakob Poeltl, another big man, 4-year, $104 million deal to remain in Toronto. Poeltl getting $104 million? Good for Jakob, man. Duncan Robinson in a sign-in trade, headed from Miami back to Detroit, 3-year, $48 million deal. I say back to Detroit. He played his college basketball at Michigan. How about your 2 newest Pistons? Karis LeVert, Duncan Robinson, both repping the maize and blue. Back now in the Motor City, Tim Hardaway Jr. leaves Detroit. He is headed to Denver to add to this Nuggets side that has had a great 48-hour run that also led to a trade yesterday for Jonas Valanciunas, the veteran big man, adding some of that depth as well. Trey Mann, a 3-year, $24 million deal. In heartbreak for DRS and his Philadelphia 76ers, Guerschon Yabusele, of course, one of the heroes of the French national team during the Summer Olympic Games last summer, leaves Philadelphia, signs a 2-year, $12 million deal with the New York Knicks.
Yeah, probably signed with the Knicks because Tibbs wasn't there. Like, wait a second, I'm a bench player in New York. I'll probably get 1 minute for the entire season. Once Tibbs goes, like, you know what? That could be a good spot where I might actually be able to get into a ball game. By the way, with Jakob Poeltl, like, what's the exchange rate here? Like, you know, we do like, hey, if you sign in Florida and Texas versus New York, like, is that a good deal in Toronto? And is it Canadian? What is it Canadian dollars? Like, what's the exchange there? Like, what do they call it? Are they doubloons? What do they have up there?
What figure is Shams tweeting out? Right. Is that the American dollar yesterday on Canada Day? Was that the Canadian dollar?
We need somebody to explain that. By the way, what is the Canadian dollar, though? Like, is that what it's called, the Canadian dollar?
Yeah. U.S. dollar to Canadian dollar.
Is that what it's like, CAD?
It's one U.S. dollar right now, DRS, is the equivalent in the current exchange rate of 1.37 Canadian dollars.
So we get value.
I mean, the dollar
value when we go up north. Is that correct? Is that what I'm reading correctly?
That deal in Toronto yesterday when he inked the bottom line, that's a lot more than $104 million. I'll tell you that much. Did any of these moves impact the NBA championship odds? Not really. No. The Oklahoma City Thunder, still that incredibly short favorite at plus 250. The New York Knicks and the Cleveland Cavaliers now tied for the best price out of the Eastern Conference at 8-1. The Cavs dropped to 10-1 after letting go of Ty Jerome on Monday night. The Houston Rockets now back in front of the Denver Nuggets for that second best price around the Western Conference at plus 850. But I think Denver has had a great start to this offseason in the acquisition of Cam Johnson, freeing up a ton of cap space and letting go of Michael Porter Jr., bringing back a fan favorite and a utility guy in Bruce Brown. And I do like the addition of a shooter in Tim Hardaway Jr. surrounding Nikola Jokic. I think it's been a good free agency period, DRS, for the Nugs.
Yeah, it has. And also, you just want to make those minor changes to get some more extra energy in that lineup. I think they've done that. And also next year, as long as you have your big guys healthy, which we've talked about on the show, you'll be just fine. By the way, doing some digging here, Ben, while you were like astutely going over these contracts, a dollar coin in Canada is a loony and a $2 coin is a toonie. Yeah. Now, the last time I heard toonie was the Town, movie The Town, like, she's a toonie. You know what I mean?
Looney Tunes? Whoa.
Yeah.
Is that Canadian in nature? I've heard of a Looney and a Toonie. They're cops and Mounties.
That's the coins there.
On the horseback, I think.
I like them, man. Mounties are legitimate, though, man. You know what I mean? By the way, the Mounties, that only like in the British Columbia? Like, are they all, like, do they just roam the streets of Toronto? Like, you know what I mean? Like, on horseback? Or is that just
Winnipeg.
Like a separate entity?
I think just like Ottawa and Winnipeg. Up where it's super cold. Newfoundland.
Maybe Calgary, Edmonton.
Yeah, we'll ask Joe Madden.
Up in that area?
Yeah.
Yeah, we will. Okay.
Well, Joe Madden, NHL free agency. What exactly is a Mountie and where do they reside? Just one more bit around the NBA before we get to the Commissioner's Cup in the W. Jaren Jackson Jr. now going to have off-season surgery on a turf toe injury that happened somewhere off-site and away from the facility. That's kind of a tough look after signing a 5-year, $240 million max extension contract as free agency began on Monday.
Now we'll see that guy now, late February now. The NBA players, man, they got it made. I'm telling you, like, don't disclose the injury, sign the big contract, miss time, but still get a guaranteed contract, all in a day's work, man. Love to see it.
No recovery timeline set just yet for Triple Day. All right, a championship at stake last night in Minneapolis. The Caitlin Clark-less Indiana Fever, an 11-point underdog against the W's best team in the Minnesota Lynx. And the reigning Commissioner's Cup champs go into Minneapolis and pull off a huge outright upset to take home the cup. 74-59, the outright victory for Indiana, and a total of 158 stays well under. A fantastic defensive performance out of the Fever, holding Napheesa Collier, who is the MVP favorite, to only 12 points. She is also leading the WNBA in points per game this year at 24.4. Eighth game already missed this season for Caitlin Clark. That stings, but the Fever prevail either way with a Commissioner's Cup crown and that in-season tournament title.
Yeah, a little bit extra money in their pocket also. It's interesting, though, because you probably got exactly what you wanted for the WNBA, but the fact that Caitlin Clark didn't play, probably a lot of eyeballs off of that, but still big recognition. You know, they're making more money than, look, the NBA players like, hey, you get extra $50,000 bonus. Like, I'll just tip my valet that 50 grand and keep it moving. Not the WNBA. Like, that's a big deal. Like, what are you making, half your salary in some instances here in one cup victory? So, yeah, they had every right to celebrate because that's a lot of money in WNBA terms.
Natasha Howard, 16 points, 12 boards to lead the way for Indiana. As we update, of course, the WNBA odds in terms of winning the title, the reigning champs, the New York Liberty, still the short favorites at plus 145. The Lynx, despite being in a losing effort last night, still second best number at plus 240. And you hope when Caitlin Clark returns, the Fever can make a run 5-1. Did not impact regular season records, the result last night, DRS. So Indiana still 8-8. And despite, maybe not her best performance of the year, Napheesa Collier, fee still minus 300 to win that WNBA MVP award. And before we hit the break, we send our best and warmest wishes to Red Panda, who was the halftime performer last night in Minneapolis and fell off her unicycle early into her routine. The GOAT, Red Panda, we wish you the best. More on the early line next.
If you're betting 50 bucks a pop, doesn't matter. But if you want to bet 2 or 3 grand each side and literally have plus 110 on both sides, not the worst way to make some money on a Sunday night.
Not at all, right? I mean, and that's amazing. I've never really watched this in real time where you see these odds fluctuate with penalty kicks going on.
In-game live only on SportsGrid.
Oklahoma City now becomes one of 4 NBA teams ever, one of 3 NBA champs ever to win at least 84 total regular season and postseason games.
It's just the beginning, Ben, and you just look at a team with, these guys at such a young age, and, Chet's got a team option, Ismael Dieng has a team option, Jalen Williams team option, Keyshawn Wallace team option. Hey, Ben, they're all coming back.
The early line only on SportsGrid.
Kalshi has been around since 2018, offering these event contract trading prediction markets where you can wager on things like the weather, whether or not Dave Portnoy is going to give a 9.0 on his next pizza review spot, and then the election, which is where they really made headlines. Election betting is technically illegal.
Newswire only on SportsGrid.
It was the first time, I think, in Dodgers history that the ballpark was full in the first inning. Everybody was there to see Shohei Ohtani throw his first pitch as a Dodger, and I had mixed emotions about this for a few reasons. Number one, it was a reminder of, wow, this is so crazy, right? You're watching him hit 98, 99, even 100 on the radar gun going, this guy's not human. Nobody should be able to be this good of a hitter and this good of a pitcher.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
A Tuesday around Major League Baseball was supposed to be a very full slate, 15 games, all 30 clubs in action, but some bad weather along the eastern seaboard here in the Northeast, DRS yesterday. A ton of storms and rain throughout the afternoon and evening hours postponed 3 games, including in Philadelphia, the Phils and the Padres, in New York, up at Citi Field, the Mets and the Brewers, and in D.C. between the Nationals and the Tigers. The Reds and the Red Sox also got started yesterday inside Fenway Park, but suspended the remainder of that game after only 3 innings. So we hope to have some doubleheaders this week to wrap up everything around these midweek sets.
Yes, we do. And also it adds that extra, like, hey, make sure which game you're betting today. You know who the pitchers are and who's going to be around for it, and how hard it is basically just to sweep double headers. You hate to see cancellations. And it's better in the past, though. Remember the years, was it just the COVID year where it's like, okay, we're going to play a double header, but it's only like 7 innings or something like that? At least we don't have that with double headers, and you get a full game all the way through. So away we go today. Extra baseball is never a bad thing. Just make sure that you're betting on a game where that starter is supposed to be the starter. I thought he would start at 1 o'clock. No, he's starting at 7 o'clock. Take the L, pal.
Yeah, DRS, it's a great point. All of these games now scheduled to have a doubleheader. All of these matchups, I should say, and the Red Sox and the Reds will resume a little bit after noon Eastern time. That is the plan, maybe a little bit later, but we hope to wrap up all of those games. For the Red Sox and the Reds and the Phillies and the Padres, they are on getaway day. They have a day off, I believe, on Thursday before everybody gets ready to play on the 4th of July, America's birthday, America's pastime. Canada's birthday, kind of, yesterday on Canada Day up in Toronto, and the Blue Jays celebrated with a big victory over their divisional mate in the New York Yankees. 12-5, the victory for Toronto that featured DRS, a huge game out of George Springer. 2 home runs, a solo shot, and then really capping it off with, you see the emotion there in the home half of the 7th. 2 teams entered the home half of the 7th inning, tied at 4. Blue Jays were up 5-4 with the bases juiced, and Springer hit a grand salami. Place went nuts on Canada Day. The Blue Jays, not in blue, but the red for their native land. Oh, Canada in a big way yesterday for Toronto.
Yeah, 5 runs by the Yankees probably should have been good enough to get it done, to get your ace on the mound out there, and it wasn't because of that explosion late in the game by the Toronto Bats. Also, take a look at Vladimir Guerrero Jr. out here, 0 for 5. Kirk, 0 for 4, right in the middle of your lineup, and you still plate 12 runs. That means the rest of the lineup is picking you up, which included, as you said, George Springer, 3 hits, 7 RBI, 2 home run day, and also there throwing in a walk for good measure. Like to see that out of those bats, and I've been talking about that for the past couple weeks. That Toronto lineup at the beginning of the season, like, man, I just can't take them on a day-to-day basis. Every day now, looks like we're getting the green light on Toronto here, hitting the baseball 47-38 on the season, maybe with some much better things on the horizon for them. Now, like, look how close they are to the New York Yankees there. That loss column, 1 game now.
Jays have won 3 straight, including each of the first 2 games in this set against the Yankees, and now only trail New York by a full game. The Yanks not playing great in the back end of June or now early in July. The Blue Jays playing much better in the month of June. The Rays were also great in June and now have dropped both games so far this week against the Athletics. They have lost 3 straight. They are a game and a half back, but the Yankees' once comfortable lead in the American League East is anything but. How about the Miami Marlins? 8 straight victories, the hottest team in Major League Baseball. And DRS, as you might anticipate, despite winning 8 straight games, Miami is still 38-45. So in all 8 contests, the Fish have been booked as an underdog. 8 straight wins, all as an underdog. And according to Evan Abrams of Action Network, it is the longest streak in the most consecutive games booked as a dog that resulted in a win since Cleveland back in 2011. Shout out Miami.
Yeah, really shout out Miami. And also, what's Miami really doing with the bats as of late? And you take a look at a game for the Marlins, 2-0 over a decent Twins team coming to town. You got to like what you see out of that. Sometimes just ride those streaks. They're an underdog again today with junk on the mound. And why not just ride that streak out at a plus money price for a home team today? Simeon Woods Richardson on the other side. Why not? Stay with the hot Marlins, huh?
Minnesota struggling, by the way. They have dropped 3 in a row. Not just the first 8-game win streak for an underdog in all 8 since 2011. Miami's first 8-game win streak since 2008, 17 years ago. The Houston Astros, 51-34. Victor Carantini, huge yesterday. But Yordan Alvarez suffering yet another setback in his minor league rehab. Not great news for Houston, who has been great as of late. Hour number 2 next.